Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another winter forecast. My name is Gabriel Krapp, and I will be showing you a little bit about what we can expect this winter. Now that winter is pretty close to us in terms of only a couple of months away, we've got a much clearer picture on what we can expect this winter. So, for starters, we're going to start with our temperature anomalies map, which shows you how far below or above normal temperatures you can expect for your region. Now, we're going to start with the below normal temperatures. In the very dark purple region, so that's the region across the upper Midwest, the Great Plains, parts of the upper Mississippi Valley, towards the Great Lakes, including all of Michigan, and extending towards the Ohio Valley, that is where you can expect the coldest temperatures compared to your normal this winter. This means the temperatures are likely to be 3, 4, 5 degrees on average below your normal temperature for a given day. Again, this does not mean that every day is going to be below normal temperatures. It just means there's going to be potent Arctic blasts that are going to be very frequent throughout this upcoming winter. In the dark blue region, we can expect moderately below normal temperatures. Now, below normal temperatures can be like 1, 2, 3 degrees below normal, and this kind of extends all the way from portions of Montana into the central plains, much of the Ohio Valley, and all of the Northeast, almost including Washington, D.C. The reason I'm thinking it's going to be fairly warm across the southwest. Therefore, in order to balance it out, the northeast is likely to be much colder. Now, I understand last winter was a similar setup in terms of a La Nina or an ESO neutral, and therefore you could have expected a slightly below normal temperatures in the northeast. However, last season was not looking as cold as this upcoming winter. Therefore, I've gone ahead and extended the dark blue all the way towards portions of the mid Atlantic. In the lighter blue shade, however, you can expect, slightly below normal temperatures or even like normal temperatures. So you won't even feel it probably, especially in the southern portions of this region, across much of the Carolinas, southern Appalachians, upper Mississippi Valley, portions of the southern plains, and all of the Pacific Northwest. It likely will be a little bit colder than normal, and I'm going to point out much of the cold in the Pacific Northwest is going to be due to a lot of storminess, which I'll show you later on in the video. It's going to be fairly stormy in that region, and that is why I think it has been colder. It's just a general fact that when there's a lot of precipitation, it tends to be colder in a given area. Just like whenever a hurricane hits, it tends to be quite cold along the Gulf Coast. That's generally the case in the winter as well. It's just colder than normal whenever you have a lot of precipitation. As for the above normal temperatures, Florida, and pretty much the entire Southwest, including much of Texas, including a lot of the West Coast, except California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Florida, and a little bit of Georgia and Carolinas, as well as a bit of coastal Alabama, can expect slightly above normal temperatures. Portions of the desert Southwest, including LA, San Francisco, and portions of the desert areas, so including Las Vegas, can expect moderately above normal temperatures. It does not mean it's going to be warm the entire winter. It just means your winter is going to average out as being above normal in terms of temperatures. We're going to move on to our precipitation anomalies. Now, the precipitation anomalies, we're going to start with the below normal precipitation. This is in this like skin color. It extends pretty much all the way from portions of western Louisiana, pretty much all of Texas, a lot of New Mexico, Utah, much of Nevada, and southwestern Oregon, including all of California and the West Coast. You can expect to see slightly below normal precipitation. This does not mean that you're not going to get rain, especially Texas is usually very wet during the winter, and therefore you're still going to see a fair amount of precipitation, especially in the eastern half of this region. It just means that you won't quite reach your normal amount of precipitation for a given year. Now, in the darker brown shades, where you can expect even less precipitation. Now, these are areas that don't really receive much precipitation at all in general, but you can expect even less of that. And if you don't receive any precipitation at all in every winter, you can expect like a lower chance of any precipitation at all, whether that be in the form of rain or snow. And this could actually lead to a further expansion of the drought in some of those brown regions. On the flip side, parts of the country are expected to get above normal temperatures, including the Pacific Northwest and much of the Northeast, extending down to the Rockies and parts of the western plains, they can all expect somewhat above normal precipitation. The highest amounts of precipitation compared to your relative average. Remember, the Pacific Northwest is always wet in the winter. This just depends on what your normal is and whether it's going to be below or above normal. The most above normal precipitation is likely to be in the Ohio Valley and Northeast, as well as portions of the Pacific Northwest, mostly Washington and Idaho. Now, before I show you my general forecast, I do want to digress a little bit. This is the winter pattern we can expect this winter. So in the blue is like when it's stormy, purple is cold, and then mild, warm, and dry. So generally you can see the black line is our jet stream, and that is generally the common jet stream when you have a winter pattern like we're expecting. Basically, it's going to be cold in the central and eastern United States and sort of mild and dry in the south mostly, but also portions of the west. You also get a lot of storms in the northwest and the northeast. Portions of the Tennessee Valley can also see some fairly big storms. This is why we're expecting quite a few nor'easters. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to our general forecast. I'm going to go break it down region by region. In this green region in the Pacific Northwest, it means stormy, and it also means slightly chillier than normal. It is going to be slightly chillier than normal in this corner of the country. It is also going to be very stormy. Now, what that means is that you're going to always be stormy in the Pacific Northwest. This just means that you're going to have more precipitation compared to your typical average. Now, in the orange region, you can expect to see hot and dry conditions. Unfortunately, this could lead to an expansion of the drought. In your gray region, you can expect more mountain snow than normal in the north, with a little bit less mountain snow than we normally expect in the southern regions, especially in New Mexico. Portions of Colorado and up into the northern Rockies can expect far, far above normal snowfall with a prominent storm track, but I think portions of the southern Rockies could be left with a little bit of a snow drought this winter. In the yellow region, it's kind of just slightly dry, but not necessarily warm. Just a little bit warm and dry. Again, you may not feel it. In these slight anomalies, you're not necessarily going to feel anything. You're just going to note that, hey, it was a little while warmer, a little bit drier, and on paper, it is a little bit warmer and drier than normal in that yellow region. It's just not going to be felt as much as in the orange. Now, in that blue region, for portions of the plains and the eastern Rockies, extending into portions of the Southwest. So Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, portions of Wyoming, Montana, and western North and South Dakota. That's where you can expect cold and snowy conditions. It's not going to be terribly cold, especially for the southern regions of there. It's also not going to be as precipitation, but you are going to experience some significant snowstorms. It won't be as snowy as the Pacific Northwest and the northern Rockies, but it will still be fairly decently cold and snowy. In the light blue region is where you can expect chilly conditions. It's not necessarily going to be more precipitation than normal, although there can be some stronger snowstorms and blizzards potentially, especially in the eastern half of that region towards the Ohio Valley, but especially the western half. I don't think the precipitation is going to be quite as important as the temperatures, which are going to be significantly below normal for much of this region. In the red region, you could expect normal conditions. It's not going to be particularly warm, but it's not going to be particularly cold. It's not going to be particularly dry or particularly wet. It's just going to be your typical winter for these regions, which is usually warm and wet, anyways. Now, in the lime green region, and for much of the southeast, the South, Louisiana, Florida, up towards the Carolina coast, you can expect less stormy than normal. Now, it's still going to be stormy. The South is always stormy in the winter, and it may be a little bit warmer than normal, especially in the southern regions of that area, but it's going to be pretty tranquil. A little bit less stormy than some winters, but it's still going to have a decent, healthy dose of precipitation. Moving on to our pink region is called the winter battle zone. This is where you can expect kind of a sloppy mixture of rain, sleet, snow, and ice, especially snow in the northeastern portions. A couple of ice storms are possible. Again, you're mostly going to see like a mixed bag of precipitation events. It's just a generally very sloppy, chilly, disgusting mix. And the red region is the northeast. The Northeast, I think, is going to have the bullseye. If I had to like put text on it, I would say the worst of winter. It is going to be where winters chill. Again, it was second on the temperature anomalies map. and much above normal precipitation, combined with an active storm track and a weakened polar vortex, which will lead to significant nor'easters, bringing feet of heavy snow to much of the region, as well as frigid temperatures, especially in January. I think January is going to be a very cold and snowy month for a lot of the Northeast. I also think the winter could last a little bit longer than normal, especially longer than it did last winter, and extend a little bit into March and or April with some more nor'easters. Now, as we know, we are going into a La Nina or an ENSO neutral, basically a weak La Nina, which does anticipate a lot of cold and snow in the Northeast. Again, this is still a seasonal forecast, so for confidence, I'm probably at about a 7 out of 10 at this point. And if you did like the video, please go ahead and like the video down below, subscribe, comment with your specific location. I'll be trying to respond to as many of those as I can with a custom forecast for your detailed area, just because I can't get to everything in one video. If you enjoyed the video, please share it with your friends, family, and social medias. My name is Gabriel Cramp, signing off.